Hey everybody, this is Jeff from Build an Aquarium Workshop, and today's episode will be about Cardinal Rule number 3. So let's refresh your memory if you haven't seen those videos. If you have, Cardinal Rule number 1, always start out with healthy fish. Cardinal Rule number 2 was how many fish you can get in a tank, right? And Cardinal Rule number 3 is regarding feeding them. How much, what kinds of foods should you be feeding your fish? So here's a small variety of dried foods. As you can see, we have cichlid food. We've been feeding that to our Lake Tanganyika cichlids. Goldfish food, which goes to our goldfish tank. We ran out of the tropical version of this, which goes to our community fish tank right here. We're going to get more of that. Got bloodworms, and we've got the beta pellets, which also can be given to other fish as well. Okay, so with respect to food, how much should you be feeding? Now, the old adage was to feed no more than a pinch of food. Okay, so I can tell you this for sure, no matter what the fish, in most cases, fish, tropical fish, goldfish, doesn't matter what they are, if you can feed them small amounts frequently, I would say 2 to 3 feedings is good. Then that's going to help them out rather than one big feeding. It's the same for a lot of animals. The other thing to look at is how long, duration. So a pinch doesn't really, a pinch in a kid's hands versus an adult hands might be two different things. So the best rule of thumb would be to feed no more than the fish can consume in, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so if you're feeding and you're throwing a bunch of food in and it's getting sucked up by the filter, or it's getting to the ground and it's just the fish, it's just too much for the fish to eat, you're going to see leftover food. That's just too much food. Then you definitely want to feed in smaller amounts. Okay, so if they consume it up really quickly, then that's great. Then you can go ahead and give them just a little bit more, and like I said, not any more than they can eat within, say, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, and if you do that 2 to 3 times a day, I feed my fish minimum of 2 times a day and usually 3 times a day. Of course, we are excluding baby fish. When I had those baby cichlids, I probably fed them somewhere between 3 to 5 times a day. So when you're raising babies, it's different. But for most other fish, you're going to want to feed them 2 to 3 times a day. Now, can they be okay with just one feeding? Yes, they can. Can fish go days without eating? Yes, they can. But to keep your fish happy and healthy, my recommendation is that you feed them 2 to 3 times a day. And like I said, small amounts, not more than you consume within 2 to 3 minutes. And if the filter's a problem, then you want to turn off the filter when you feed. That'll also help you see how much food you're really putting in, because a lot of times, depending on your system, the filter might just suck up a lot of that food, and you'll see you got a really dirty pad. All right, so next, now we showed you dried foods. Let's show you some frozen foods. Okay, a quick trip to our freezer. Most of you have probably seen frozen brine shrimp, but you might not have seen the mysis shrimp. Both are overall just great to feed. Most fish, I do feed the brine shrimp and mysis shrimp to saltwater fish as well as my freshwater fish. My cichlids, the community fish. I do not feed the goldfish this though. Okay, and then next up we have up here, we've got Formula 1, which is for the saltwater fish only. This is mainly a meat formula. It does have vegetable matter in it as well, but Formula 1 is meat. Formula 2 is mainly herbivorous. Okay, for the veggie eaters. All right, and then we have up here Cichlid Delight, which I use for Lake Tanganyikans, although it can be used for any cichlids. And then there's bloodworms, which is used for fish that eat meat. I wouldn't feed any herbivorous fish. Okay, last thing you need to know about feeding your fish. You got to know what your fish eat. 3 main categories, just like it is with lots of animals. You got the veggie eaters, right? They're herbivores. You've got the carnivores that just eat mainly meat. And within that category for fish, there are piscivores, which are fish that just eat other fish. And of course, omnivores like us, which eat both meat and vegetable matter. Okay, so we're sitting in front of our Lake Tanganyika choke tank, and so depending on the fish you have, depends on what you're going to feed them. Now, most are omnivores, so you're going to be able to feed them some type of pellet or flake food. The Frozen foods, you definitely want to know. If it's like, say, for instance, a goldfish, you don't want to feed it brine shrimp, which is meat, or bloodworms, nothing like that. If it's, and even though goldfish, I believe in goldfish flake food, they probably do get some meat, but they get a lot of vegetable matter. So the most important thing is to know, and the reason why is, especially when you're dealing with, like cichlids, for instance, is a good example. If you have an herbivorous fish, they might be, or any long intestinal fish, they eat a lot of vegetable matter. They can clog, they can get internal bacterial infections, which cause problems and cause them to bloat, things like that. And so they're not used to eating a lot of meat. So if you give them a lot of meat, they'll eat it, but then, they might cause a problem. Carnivores, a lot of times you can't get them to eat the vegetable formulas. They don't really like them because they're used to eating meat. That's what they want. Piscivores, there's fish out there that only eat other fish. They're very picky, of course. That's all they want. So sometimes you get fish to adapt, but for the most part, you want to look at your fish and go, hey, is it an herbivore? Is it a carnivore? Is it an omnivore? And then feed accordingly, and feed a variety, folks. Okay, so that's the big tip there. So let me just summarize it real quick for you. So first, find out. This is cardinal rule number 3 is, okay, find out what your fish eat. Are they herbivores, omnivores, or carnivores? Number 2, give them a variety of foods. So you want to feed them frozen food, dry food, that's fine. Even live food is okay. Just be careful with live food, again, because sometimes, parasites can enter the water and things like that. So just be careful where you get your live food from. Okay. The other thing is, how many times do you want to feed them? 2 to 3 times a day. And how long do you want to feed your fish? So not more than they can eat within, say, 2 to 3 minutes per feeding. Okay, so if you do those things, you follow these steps, then your fish will be happy and healthy, and they will live, hopefully, a long, long time. All right, folks, if you found the information useful, please give us a like. And if you want to see more Build an Aquarium workshop, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.